Welcome to the Sales Whisper Podcast, Session 34. Do you have an hour a day? Welcome to Session 34 of the Sales Whisper Podcast. I'm your host, Wes Schaefer, Sales Whisperer. We've got a great guest, as always, Henry Evans. He's a friend of mine. He's a marketing whiz, a former corporate schmuck, as you will hear him tell his story. And he is the author of the Hour a Day Entrepreneur book and the program by the same name. I am recording and launching this podcast on January 8th, 2014. Henry and I spoke a few weeks ago in December and before we went off to our Christmas and New Year's break. So I hope things are going well for you right now. I mentioned in the last podcast, there's always something, regardless of the age and maturity of your business. We just launched a total revision of thesaleswhisperer.com, changing hosting to get a more robust hosting, which I may talk about in another call. I'm working on a program right now to help people set up WordPress websites, set up affordable hosting, how to determine when to start with something simple versus something more robust. But there's always something. We're working through kinks. We're working through bad links. We're working through an SEO, anchor text attack. Always something. So, you can either crawl up in a hole, assume the fetal position, and get out of the fight, or you can realize the struggle is where the opportunity is. I used to always say this in my different writings. I still say it. David needed Goliath. Superman needed Lex Luthor. Batman needed the Joker. We need somebody or something to oppose us so we can realize our strength, our potential, and to appreciate the successes when we achieve them. So if you're going through some tough times, if you've got people that aren't performing, a website that isn't performing, emails that aren't performing, programs that aren't performing, what have you, realize it for what it is. It's an opportunity to grow. It's something in your business is lacking. Maybe it's your leadership skills. Maybe it's your writing skills, your technical skills. Maybe you're focused on the wrong thing. Maybe you're focused on the right thing, and it's just a roadblock, and keep pushing. Okay, so regardless of, again, the size, maturity of your business, there will always be issues. And honestly, the bigger you get, the bigger the issues are. But you know what? The bigger the wins. And the bigger and more profound and more competent will your team be. You can surround yourself with better people. And it's tough sometimes to trust them to do their job. On a weekly basis, I'm butting heads with various people on my team, and then we get over it. Because I'm like, why is it going this way? Why do you want to set up hosting here? Why do you want link structure to be this way? Why do you want campaign builder and Infusionsoft to be structured a certain way? How do you want to apply tags? How do you want to apply access to membership? And should it be all at once versus delayed? So it happens, right? But these discussions, these debates are happening at a higher level. So sometimes when the road ahead looks tough, turn around and look back and realize just how far you have come. When you see that, it will put a little spring in your step to realize you are making headway. When your head is down, your nose is at the grindstone. Sometimes it's hard to appreciate and recognize the growth, the change, the momentum that you really are building. So stick with it. If you are still in corporate America, you will really appreciate what Henry has to talk about in his Hour a Day Entrepreneur program. I was in corporate America for many years. While developing the Sales Whisperer. Went back and forth a couple of times before I could do it full time, support my family, keep my wife at home, where she's been for over 18 years now, raising our 6.675 children. So April 16th, baby number 7. So if you're still in corporate America, I think you'll appreciate this call, this interview more than most. But Henry has advice and recommendations for all of us at any stage of our business. I've been in his mastermind groups. We meet monthly in his Hour a Day marketing program that I host in my office in Temecula. So come out and see us. So you're in for a treat, as always. So Henry Evans, welcome to the Sales Whisper Podcast. How are you?
I'm doing great, Wes. How you doing, my friend?
You know, it's good to speak with someone I really know. I've interviewed quite a few folks, and honestly, several of them, they had great credentials, I guess, online. I reached out to them. They came on the show. But, you know, I've known you now for several years. You've been a mentor of mine, a friend of mine, but not everybody does know you like I know you. Would you mind taking a couple of minutes and getting everybody a quick rundown?
Sure, absolutely, buddy. Well, I was in the corporate world for many, many years. I like to say I was a corporate schmuck. I did that for about 13 years after college. Grew up in Buffalo, New York in the snow, and now get to live out here in Southern California like you do, which is a pretty nice change. And left the corporate world working an hour a day because that was all the time that I had. And I wrote a best-selling book that kind of talks about that story and that journey called The Hour a Day Entrepreneur. And basically, I started working from 9 to 10 at night, built up a nice little side business, and then left the corporate world and became an entrepreneur full-time about 5 years ago in 2008. Unfortunately, after my wife's twin sister contracted breast cancer and passed away, unfortunately. So it really made me think long and hard about my life and you know, about my faith and what I wanted to do. And I really enjoy helping entrepreneurs experience time freedom and financial freedom, and that's why I do what I do now, and everything is going really, really well. So thanks for having me, buddy.
Very cool. I'm glad to have you on. And you know, I like your story for several reasons, and most importantly because it's kind of my path, right? Having a family, being in corporate America, and making that transition. Because there's a lot of people out there that are good, right? They have great content and things to share, but, you know, we're not all single. We're not all 20, 25 years old and can just blow and go, right? Or can launch something and not get paid for 6 months while we try to figure out our dream because we have a, you know, investment sitting in the bank or we're sleeping on somebody's couch. So, I mean, those are all great stories, but there's a lot of people like you and me, corporate schmucks, right? 30, 35, 40. 45, 50, he could go all the way, that are trying to break out of it. And so can you go into, you know, a little more depth on, you know, is it really achievable in an hour a day? I mean, to launch your own business and live your dream?
Sure. Yeah, that's a really good point. And I totally agree with you too, Wes. It's like, you know, a lot of people who go out on their own, they're single, have no expenses, live somewhere where the cost of living's low. I mean, you and I live in a place the cost of living's high. You've got a very big family. I've got 2 girls in private school and a house and a mortgage. I mean, I couldn't just quit and do it. I had to do it on an hour a day because that was all the time that I had. You know, one of my mentors whose name is Dan Kennedy, who's a marketing strategist. He's famous for saying when he wrote a little blurb for my book, he said that, you know, a well invested 1 hour is actually more effective and efficient than most people's 8, 9, or 10 hours. And there's a lot of truth to that. So while is it possible to get something ramped up in an hour a day? Absolutely, if you focus on the right things. Is that something that's really sustainable? And do I still work an hour a day? No, I work many more hours than that. But when I started off, I really was getting more done than a lot of people because I had no choice. So I call it back against the wall marketing. When you have to make it happen, oftentimes that'll really be what spurs you on to be motivated. But now that I have multiple businesses, you know, I do work more than an hour a day.
Right. Well, so what did you not like about corporate America? Because you were kind of like me. I mean, I was making a nice, comfortable 6 figures. You were a VP of sales of a technology company.
Right.
Are you and I, are we greedy? Are we just maverick rebels that can't be reined in? I mean, why walk away from the American dream that you seem to have?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be curious, you know, what you know, your answer is to this as well. But mine was pretty simple. I wanted to be able to spend more time with my family. And I was on a East Coast trip. I did a lot of business out in Washington, D.C., and I was on an East Coast trip, and I missed a kindergarten event that my oldest daughter had. So this is, you know, going back a few years now, and I still remember not being able to get home for it because I was on a business trip. And I wandered into the library in the airport. This is in Washington, D.C., actually in Baltimore. I flew Southwest direct from San Diego to Baltimore. And I distinctly remember picking up the Purple Book, which is the Robert Kiyosaki book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Uh-huh. And it just opened my eyes to a whole other world of how the wealthy think, how they work. And I realized, there's no way I'm going to be able to make the money that I want to make and achieve the success I want and have the freedom to do what I want. Today I'm going to go get my nephew's Christmas gift. After this meeting, and I have one more meeting today, a coaching session with the client, and then I'm going to go do some Christmas shopping. And I can do that without having to ask my boss if it's okay. So right. that freedom was the big one for me. And I'd be curious what was the big driver for you too?
I think I was always an entrepreneur at heart. I just didn't know what that meant. Grew up with, blue collar parents, did not know what I wanted to be when I grew up. But my dad said, just get an education, right? So I was recruited to play football at the academy, at the Air Force Academy. And it's not like it was a lifelong dream. It was just a free education.
Right.
And, so then I served my 5 years, but as soon as I got out and graduated, I was looking at things that always interested me. A friend of mine from the academy, we were investing in stocks because he had that background. And I just was always attracted to getting paid from my efforts, because I would get frustrated in the military that no matter what you would do, you had to spend a certain amount of time in grade, right? 2 years as a second lieutenant, 2 years as a first lieutenant, like 4 to 6 years as a captain. And I was like, good grief, what if I'm better than that?
Right.
And so I did my 5 years and got right into sales and, was always frustrated to some degree. Either my manager was not someone I admired, or company would always change, right? Hey, great, you did 120% of quota last year, so we're going to give you a 50% bigger quota this year. Go get them.
Yep.
I always say corporate America wants you to make 99% of your quota.
Right.
They don't want you to overachieve where they have to pay you more. But if you hit 99%, they can justify raising your quota next year, and they can hit their own corporate goals. So that's what always was nagging me in the back of my brain.
Absolutely, buddy. I completely empathize, and I know exactly what you're saying there. Yes.
So you made a much quicker mind shift, it sounds like. You had this event. You're missing your daughter's. Was it her birthday or a dance? What was it?
It was something for a kindergarten class.
Okay.
It was some kind of play or something like that. So
so would you say that just flipped the switch and you just began researching how to get out?
Yeah, really good. Yeah, that's a really good point, Wes. So that was one thing that flipped the switch. But the other thing that I mentioned was actually when my wife's twin sister passed away after having breast cancer for 2.5 years. That made me really just understand and realize that the clock is ticking. So as you're sitting here listening to this, if you haven't followed your dreams yet, and whatever your passion is in life, and what gives you joy to get up in the morning and just longing to go to work because you enjoy it so much. I knew that I wasn't in that and that I had to make a change. And I'll be honest, it was very hard, and I had to throw myself into it 110%. And it is, there's a reason they call it a leap of faith, because you really do have to leap out from that corporate security and that blanket and the matching of the 401k and all that stuff that you lose everything, healthcare benefit, it's all gone. It's all up to you now. But I'll tell you what, there's no way to realize really what you're made of than to make that jump and do it, and then look back with just this incredible satisfaction, as I'm sure that you have too, that, hey, I made the jump and I survived, and I'm a better person, I'm a better business person for it, and I'm a better father, husband, wife, spouse as well.
Right. So what did you give up for that hour? Did you give up your favorite TV show? Did you stop? Did you have to quit the local softball team? Because you had to give something up.
Yeah, I would say probably television would be one thing for sure, and also sleep. I gave up some sleep, but I would go to work all day, and so being with the software company, it wasn't a 9 to 5. It was more like a 7:30 to 6, and would come home, have dinner, spend time with my girls, put them to bed, spend some time with my wife, and then I'd go to work after that. And so, probably more reading, hanging out, watching TV time, that was just gone. And even to this day, I much prefer to read a good book. I try to read at least 1 or 2 books every month, if not more. constantly absorbing marketing strategies, sales strategies, business growth strategies, studying people that have done, and gone before me, so to speak. But yeah, I would say that's probably what I gave up, which really wasn't much at all. I mean, you look at the time you spend watching TV and surfing Facebook, that'll give you the time right there.
Hey, and keeping up with the Kardashians, I mean, I can't give that up, man. No way.
Exactly. It's so true.
So, all right, so you have this epiphany, and there's 10 million others, right? 100 million others potentially having this same uneasy feeling, knowing they've got to do something, they should do something. But how did you know what to do? It's like, okay, time to do my own thing. But how does somebody know what their own thing is?
Yeah, that's an extremely good question. And I'll be honest, I didn't find it right away. I think it was committing to the idea that I wanted to be an entrepreneur and be on my own was step one. And then step two, which when I read that book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, it made me realize I had to change my thinking. So if I can give two specific strategies to somebody listening, one is you have to associate with people that are where you want to be, that are already successful, that are doing well, that are making the money that you want to make. All of my friends that I try to spend the most time with make more money than I do. They're extremely wealthy. One of them is buying a jet right now. And so I'm trying to associate with people, and you'll find too, as you associate with the people that you want to be like, you'll resonate with them on a deeper level, and it'll be easy to become friends with them. So I upgraded my friends, first of all. And then the second thing that I did, which was really important, is that I made a study of direct response marketing first and foremost. Because if you know, which obviously you do, Wes, because you understand sales at a very deep level. If you know how to make the phone ring, make the email inbox fill up with orders, how to get people to walk in your store, if you know how to get customers, which fundamentally that's my expertise now, is how to get customers. If you know how to do that, then really you can do any business. There's no limit to what you can do. So find better people that are more successful than you are to hang out with, learn from them. And that goes with everything. If you want to be healthy, find people. I have a friend of mine who's a vegetarian and works out all the time, and I'm learning from him. And I still like the meatball sandwiches when I come up there and meet with you, and I still eat meat, but I'm seeing a different way to do it, and with how healthy and lean he is. And then the second thing is really studying marketing, which is really important.
Right. And we got to give a shout out to Kim, right? A little That Boy Good Barbecue. You cannot be a full-time vegetarian with those ribs.
See, that's the problem, is that I love meat so much. I don't think I could ever be a full-time, but saying no most of the time. But I'll tell you, those ribs and then those sandwiches that you get are just incredible.
Spence's spaghetti, baby. Best meatball sandwiches ever.
They are amazing. If you ever get out to where Wes is, make sure you get the sandwiches, because they are incredible.
So I love what you said there about people are always looking for this magic, this silver bullet, right? And things I'm incorporating into a lot of my training now is a lot more on the mindset and attitude, because people are always looking for the gizmos and the gimmicks. And I just got Gary Vaynerchuk's new book, The Jab, 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 Right Hook. And he talks about how he's going to give specifics in this book, but he says, look, these are going to be for maybe 3 to 5 years, right? Because things will change. But I like how you just commit yourself, jump in, maybe not even jump into the pool, wade into the pool, go find where the successful people are and hang around and kind of marinate in it, right? And then you will just start to think differently, and doors will be open as long as you put yourself in that environment, right?
Exactly, yes. And so being around the people that are already doing well, the people that are healthy, the people that are doing the things that you want to do, whatever it is. I mean, if you're somebody who's making $30,000 a year right now and you want to make $100,000 a year, find some friends that are already making that and see the things that they do. If you're a corporate guy like you and I were and you want to be an entrepreneur, find some entrepreneurs to hang out with. You can go to different meetup groups. I mean, there's all sorts of places you can meet them. You can meet them online. I recommend do it in person too. I mean, I've got people that come to our meetings up in Temecula, and then our meetings in San Diego every month, and it's all entrepreneurs and people that want to associate with those that are doing well in this in in this day and age with the economy. And so it's real important to hang around the people that are already where you want to be.
So were you able to join clubs and things like that while you were still in corporate America? Like, would you attend weekend things, or how did you start associating with more successful people?
Yes, I did exactly that. I actually joined a mastermind group that met in Tampa, Florida once a year. I spent the equivalent of a small car, $15,000 that I did not have at the time, to use up all of my vacation time that I had, because I had 2 weeks a year to travel to Tampa, Florida, to be in this group, because I wanted to be hanging out with the people that were in it. So I did that. I started attending marketing seminars. I became certified by the Glazer Kennedy Group and the .com Secret. So I really became a student of marketing, online marketing, offline marketing. Just getting of customers is what I became a student of. And yeah, I started going to events locally, joined a mastermind group, started going to national events, and just really tried to absorb myself in that environment. And it starts to wear off on you. I mean, it really does. It starts to really have an impact when you start getting smarter and better able to understand marketing when you're reading it and studying it all the time.
Right. So, I would encourage people, if money's an issue, then find like meetup groups and things that are inexpensive. But, I encourage people, and I've done this myself now, and with your help as well and input, raise my prices. And I used to get irritated when I saw things that were very expensive. I'm like, who do those people think they are? But in reality, to have a life, you need to charge appropriately, so you're not working yourself to the bone. But conversely, it's so easy to get distracted. If we don't charge our clients a good chunk of change, we won't get their attention. And if we don't have their attention, they're going to be distracted by bright, shiny objects. And having 100 different projects, 90% done, doesn't earn you any money. All right. I mean, we got to get them to focus and complete it. When you plunk down 15 grand, they probably had your actually happen.
Exactly.
Yeah. I one of my first true mentors actually paid someone for one-on-one coaching. It's probably 2002. I was living in Austin and doing some real estate deals, and ran across this guy and paid him $500. And the most I'd ever paid anybody for one-on-one help at the time. And he gave me that book, Think and Grow Rich. And he said, read it, and you've got to tell me the number one thing in it. And every time I'd see him, I was like, I don't know. I mean, I just kept reading it until I finally got the answer. So I won't say it here. Make people go read it too. Maybe I'll blog about it or something. But I had to study it. And then finally, when by me just staying after it, it showed him I was committed. And then, I got his undivided attention from there on. And so those are two good books. Go get them.
Love it.
Can you give people any type of specifics? So we're talking about the big picture, which is needed. But do you have one or two little tips or tricks, things that people should be doing now to either help grow their business or their mindset or something that can make a big difference in their sales and their marketing, to make a little extra money right now?
Sure, happy to. One thing I would say is that if you aren't setting daily goals and a daily list based on where you want to get, projecting out 1 year from now, then you're definitely not. Then you're definitely there's room to improve. I'll put it that way. One of the best. I've studied goal setting with all sorts of people. I've talked to people that are very good at it, people that, are from billionaires down to people that are just getting started, but who are doing really, really well very fast. And I find that having daily goals, knowing where you're set to go 1 year from now is really, really important. And then having one overriding number in your mind that you can focus on. So, for example, maybe it's getting the first 100 members for your new gym or your new spa or whatever it is, and focusing all your time, energy, and attention on that number 100. So every day you see the 100 on your desktop on your computer. You see it in your car. You see it on your phone background. You see it, on your office wall. You see it on your mirror. Having that singularity of focus and purpose works really, really well. And then one other thing that I'll say, and this is specific to the getting of customers, is if you're not doing two-step lead generation as opposed to one-step, and that's something that obviously should talk to you about, Wes, because you have an expertise with that using one of my favorite software platforms called Infusionsoft. Understanding that most people aren't going to just come up to you and buy your product or service right away. That's actually very rare. What's going to happen is they're going to want to do some research, learn more, think about it. So think, I mean, if you want to buy a car, you don't just make up your mind today, I'm going to buy a car, walk into the showroom with your checkbook and buy a car. You're going to do research online. You're going to go do some test drives. Unfortunately, have to meet some auto salespeople, but you're going to go through all those steps. And then at some point, you're going to go buy the car. So if you're a car dealer, getting the lead, which is two-step marketing. Step one is get the lead, and then step two is follow up with the lead, is really, really important to do that on your website, in your marketing. One of the ways that I love to do that is to actually write a book. So if you have a book about your topic, you can actually give people a copy of your book where they can learn more. It could also just be a booklet, like a consumer awareness guide. So if I'm a dentist, I could write a book or a booklet called The Consumer's Guide to Getting White Teeth Cavity-Free in 2000 and whatever. And that can be a that people would get a copy of instead of just trying to sell them to come in and get their teeth cleaned. Does that make sense? Can I do the two-step there?
Yep. Are you seeing, the free reports and email marketing, whatever, working as well? Or are there other things that you see are getting a little better bang for your buck, or like text messaging or social media or, other things like that?
I mean, everybody kind of looks for, which one's working the best. I like doing all of them. So I use text messaging. I do some social media, although that's definitely not my favorite one. That's just me. But, I really like having a book. I think that's the ultimate way to differentiate yourself from everybody else, is to actually have a book where you're able to talk about the problems that are solved by whatever your product or service is. So what's your product or service? If you write a book that talks about the problems that you solve for your customers, that's typically going to be read more than anything else. And so I have a friend of mine, Josh, who you know as well, Wes. So he wrote a book called The Definitive Guide to Apartment Marketing.
Yep, I got it right here on my desk.
Yeah, a great book. Now, Josh sells websites for people who have apartment buildings. That's his business. His book is not about websites. His book is about marketing to get to 102% occupancy. And it has revolutionized his business. He goes to events now. He's handing out signed copies of his book. People are reading his book, calling him up, not even asking about price, but just saying, we want to work with you. You're the guy who wrote the book. You're the expert. You're the authority. Where do we sign up? And so that's been, I think, one of the biggest game changers that I've seen. We actually did a program in San Diego just a couple months ago where we showed people exactly how to write their book and then how to make it a bestseller, which is much easier than you think it might be to actually get your book on the Amazon bestseller list. But at the end of the day, it separates you from all of your competition. You look at everybody else that's competing for the attention and the money of your ideal prospect. And if you have a book just like Wes, he's got the definitive guide to Infusionsoft, and that book separates you from everybody else who does anything related to that. And right. It's an absolute game changer.
Make sure you send me the link. Are you selling that now, your the book writing program? Because I know I wasn't able to attend. I was out of town. But you just did that 6 weeks ago or so, like November or October?
We did, and we are, yes. And so we walk you through how do you pick the topic, how do you not only pick the topic, but how do you make sure you set your chapters up so that you get people reading it and get engaged with what their core problem is and how you solve it, how to actually get the writing part done, how to get the editing done, how to get the cover done. And then at the end, if you want to do a bestseller book, which I recommend, then you can put bestseller on the cover. We walk you through exactly how to do a Kindle Direct Select promo that allows you to get on the bestseller list pretty easily.
Nice. I always have this kind of as a theme. I've had a lot of people on that have written books because I keep encouraging my listeners to do it. And, I had never written a book, and I wrote almost a 700-page book on Infusionsoft using Apple Pages.
Right.
And I'm not a Microsoft fan, but Microsoft Word is much better suited for writing books. But I was committed, and I did it. So, just using Word, you could probably even write a book using Google Docs for free, right?
Yes.
I mean, write it out. You can export it as a PDF, upload it to Create Space on Amazon, and, a 200-page book, black and white, 6x9, costs about $2 to print.
That's the best part about it. Everybody thinks it's an expensive thing. So one of my favorite lead generation funnels that I have a lot of people I know that are doing, which is they get their book written, maybe it's 120, 90, 180 pages, but it's just big enough where it's easy to read. And they put it on their website and say, get a free copy of my book, just cover shipping and handling. And if you charge $4.50 or $5 for shipping and handling, guess what? That's enough for you to manufacture the book and ship it out to them. So your net cost is zero. So let me ask it a different way. If I told you you could ship a sales letter to your ideal prospects and they'll pay you for the privilege of shipping it to them, it'll cost you nothing. How many of those would you want to send out? And the answer is how many can I find? I'll send
6?
as many as possible. 6, exactly.
6,
Yeah.
7?
7 only. 7 only. So, so my next book coming out is called More Customers in an Hour a Day. And it's a proven way on how to get more small business customers. It's kind of walking them through step by step how to get more customers. And that's something I'm still working on the funnel right now as we do the recording. But when I get that book done, I'll probably do an offer like that. So for a few dollars, I'll manufacture it and ship it to you. It'll educate you. You'll learn more about me. You'll learn some great stuff about marketing. And then if you want to take the next step with me and go through the Hour a Day Entrepreneur Academy, great. And if you don't, you got a lot of great value from it. And that's how you really want to be focused with your prospects is you want to serve people first. If you're not happy with your income, that's the market telling you you're not offering enough service to people and enough value. And if you just offer more value to people, it all goes around and comes around. And so I would really encourage people to offer more value to your ideal prospects because they will respond.
Very nice. Well, any parting words of wisdom for our listeners?
No, I would just say that, to really pat yourself on the back. I mean, the fact that you're listening to this podcast, the fact that you're tuned in to Wes, he's an incredibly smart marketer, smart salesperson, wonderful with Infusionsoft. If you've ever thought about using that, which you should if you have any small business at all, he's a fantastic resource to help you get that set up and do it. You're welcome to check out my book. It's houradaybook.com is the website for that. You can grab a copy, and there's a bunch of freebie gifts on there as well when you get a copy of it. And then if you're interested in that book writing program, I can give you the info on that, Wes. You can post up here. But no, just keep the faith. Whether you want to be an entrepreneur or you already are, realize that it's people like you that are really making a difference in this world because you're the ones who are responsible for job growth and the economy growth. And really, that's what made this country great is people stepping out and doing that. So I thank you, and I know other entrepreneurs thank you as well.
Amen. Well, thank you, sir.
Absolutely, buddy.
Enjoy your nephew Christmas shopping, and Merry Christmas, and appreciate you taking the time.
Sounds great, Wes. Have a great Christmas, and thanks for inviting me. Take care, buddy.
All right, man. Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
As usual, Henry delivers the goods. Did you remember that part where he talked about if you're not happy with your income, it's because you're not providing enough value to the marketplace? Money is just a convenient medium of exchange. It's an exchange of your sweat, equity, and effort and value in return for someone else's. Our bank accounts are very good judges and indicators of good and bad decisions we've made in our life. The good news is you can make a new good decision right now. Do something to grow your business, grow your income, add more value to the marketplace, and that can change literally immediately. It all depends on where you focus, where your energy is. Henry talked about having goals, having a daily goal, having an annual goal, having that one number that you focus on, because it's that focus that helps you produce, and when you produce, you add value. When you produce something, it doesn't sell the way that it should. Doesn't mean it's a failure. It's just a feedback. It's a data point. So you know what to change and modify to re-offer to make more money. So get out there and do it. To help you do that, be sure to check out the saleswhisperer.com/session 34 for links that we discussed in this interview. And if you would like a free audiobook, check out wesaudiobook.com, and that will take you to a landing page where you can get a free audiobook. And then to help you grow as well, please check out 30daysalesgrowth.com. That's my own program. It's 30 days of content. It's audio, it's video, it's documents, it's PDFs, things you can download and make your own to help you with prospecting, setting agendas, reaching decision makers, eliminating the stalls and the put-offs and the I want to think it over. So again, visit thesaleswhisperer.com/session 34 or 30daysalesgrowth.com. As always, I thank you for listening to the Sales Whisperer podcast. Now remember to go out and sell different. Good selling.